welcoming our co-host this morning, which would be singular, and that would be New York Times best-selling author John Gilstrap. Mr. Gilstrap.
Good morning.
Good to have you here.
Good to be here in a dry room. It's hard to stay dry these last couple of weeks.
After today, it'll be easier. This is the last day of it, according to Bob Kukin here. June 13th.
June
Shepherdstown.
13th.
Be there.
Everybody should be in Shepherdstown at the Four Seasons Books for a book talk that's coordinated or moderated by our own Rob Mario, and then we'll be selling Burned Bridges, my new book that's coming out. That book launches next Thursday on May 27th. Tuesday, May 27th, and then the first local book signing will be at Four Seasons Books on the 13th.
Are you selling hardcover or paperbacks?
This is hardcover release. The paperback release will be in 8 or 9 months.
Is that typically how that works?
Yeah. The industry has changed. The mass market paperback that you're used to seeing, the ones that we grew up with on the racks that would spin, those have been gone for a long time. But then the format for the grave books historically is called premium mass market. That's gone completely. So now the options are hardcover, trade paper, which is the paperback that kind of is the size of a hardcover, and then ebooks and audio.
Yeah. Will you do ebooks the same time the hardcovers come out?
Yes, hardcover and ebook drop at the same time.
Very good. Some inside information there from the publishing industry.
Fascinating industry as it is. I mean, it hasn't evolved at all in like 200 years, and then suddenly it's evolving a lot thanks to technology.
That's how things work.
And I just heard an ad on the radio the other day that apparently for like $300 you can write your own book with AI. They send you a form, you answer a few questions, and then AI prints out your book and puts the cover on it, and you can sell it as your own. That's not very encouraging.
Let's brush up on some other skills here, John, before it gets too late. Hey, they can do the same with talk show hosts. Craig Blair sent me an AI program where you just input 30, 40 seconds of a script, and there was a man and a woman who popped up sounding very natural, and they did about 7 minutes of a talk show on this 30, 40-second announcement that was a public service announcement. And if you were just listening and didn't know, you would swear that they were real people. Well,
there's a big kerfuffle, just 30 seconds here to tell a story, the big kerfuffle at the Edgar Allan Poe Mystery Award dinner. The Edgars are the Oscars for mystery writers in New York every year. I did not go this year. But apparently, at every one of these, the books that were nominated, which did not include mine, which has something to do with why I didn't go to New York, but there'll be an animated thing where the book kind of spins out of the screen and you see, well, somebody got the idea to use AI to have Humphrey Bogart announce the book, and these famous people who were dead. And the kerfuffle that came out of that was huge because we're in the entertainment business. The entertainment business is against AI.
Sure.
And the argument was that they put actors out of work by doing this. And of course, it was all volunteer. Nobody had thought of any of these things until it was aired. So it was quite the kerfuffle. Not that anybody had the money to hire an actor to do this, but it was
sure. I see
the future.
Our guest in this segment is Joe Kinser. He is the Berkeley County Prosecuting Attorney. Good morning, Joe. Thank you for being with us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It would be good if I turned your microphone on too. There's been a lot of activity coming out of the Prosecuting Attorney's office in the last 6 months here, Joe. You guys have been very busy.
We have been very, very busy.
Yeah.
Even as of late, the last 2 weeks for me have been just at neck break speed. But
let's hit some of those cases and
sure.
Some of the things that you folks have decided on. And was there a grand jury recently as well?
Yes, the grand jury met. It started this Tuesday, and we finished up yesterday afternoon, which is the fastest. I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years, and normally it takes all week, and we're rushing at the end of the week to try to get it done by the end of Friday. And here I am Thursday morning, and grand jury is done.
Yeah, why so quick?
Well, a lot of what I've wanted to do since taking office in January is work on the efficiency of the office as a whole. Mm-hmm. And one of our big focuses has been to immediately assign, it kind of sounds boring, but just the immediate assignment of felony cases to a felony prosecutor after the preliminary hearing is done. So much, much earlier in the game, the felony prosecutors are getting the case, and if they dig into it at that time, they can possibly resolve the case by way of an agreement before it even has to get to indictment. And so when you do that, and now we've been doing it since January, the proof is in the pudding. Our indictment numbers are down, which is what I wanted to do. Our felony prosecutors, once a case is indicted and it's in circuit court, so much of it is out of our hands. It's no longer in our control. So I thought, why don't we try to focus on doing our work while the case is entirely within our control, which can stop us from having, we only have 5 felony prosecutors that are exclusively designated, as handling felonies. And when we're indicting 120 people a term, we have 3 terms a year. That's a lot of cases to split among 5 people. So it's working out. Additionally, every year grand jury is run by whoever the chief judge is, and that alternates every year. And this year the chief judge is Judge Deborah McLaughlin, and efficiency is her game. Mm-hmm. If you know Judge McLaughlin, she loves efficiency. And so we got together in January to kind of just strategically look at ways to make grand jury more efficient. And she's been an incredible help on that front. We've changed some of the procedural things that we do. And because of that, we were able to get the May grand jury done in 2 days.
Very good. Let's go through some of the cases that you can discuss, and obviously leave out the ones you can't. And then ultimately, before this half of an hour is over, you can give us an update on the Joe DeSoto situation.
Sure. So we've put out a couple press releases in the past week. We had a big sentencing on, let's see, that was May 12th. That was before Judge McLaughlin as well. That was State of West Virginia versus Cody Eggleton. He had previously been convicted of several misdemeanor offenses, but also 2 sexual assault in the second degree convictions, attempted second degree murder, malicious assault, strangulation, wanton endangerment with a firearm, domestic assault, and domestic battery. And so this was really a terrible case fact-wise that we handled. It was investigated by Deputy Weidman with the Berkeley County Sheriff's Office. And, Deputy Weidman, she's in the CID, the Investigations Division, and she's been around for a long time. And I remember when this case happened, just the look on her face when she was telling me the facts of it. It was really a horrific domestic situation that resulted in these charges and ultimately these convictions. And on the 12th, Judge McLaughlin sentenced, she kind of split the sentence up between the misdemeanors and the felonies, so it looks a little different than some of the releases that we put out. But essentially, misdemeanors are punishable in jail, felonies are punishable in prison. And the jail sentence was...
The difference between jail and prison is?
What you did to get there. So for prison sentences, it's everything over a year. Mm-hmm. And jail sentences are under a year for misdemeanors. So the sentence was 2.25 years in jail, followed by 24 to 68 years in prison, which is a really substantial sentence. But it was a tough case. It was very well prosecuted. My chief, Ray Boyce, and Megan Yates were the prosecuting attorneys that handled that case, and they did. I was really proud of them. It was a tough case. They did a great job. They worked with our partners in the community to present the case. I mean, aside from Deputy Weidman in the Sheriff's Office, our victim advocate division was great, working with this victim and getting her ready for trial. We had a lot of help from Carrie Smith. I don't know if you ever met her. She runs the SANE program, the Sexual Assault Nurse Examiner program at Berkeley Medical Center, and then Katie Spriggs, who is the executive director of the Eastern Panhandle Empowerment Center, EPIC. She was key in this trial as well. And I forgot to mention, I guess, upon release, Mr. Eggleton will also be subject to 50 years of supervised release. And supervised release is one of the strictest supervisions that we can have over someone once they get out of incarceration. So really pleased with that outcome. It was a hard case, and folks did a really great job putting that together.
Is he eligible for parole and a reduced sentence at some point along the way?
Yeah. So the way an indeterminate sentence works, so he'll have the 2.25 years of jail time, and then once the prison sentence begins, he would be eligible for parole after serving 24 years.
Has to serve those first.
Yeah.
Okay. How old is he now?
He is 24 years old.
Right.
So, that's
Twice his life.
twice his life. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What else do you have there, Joe?
Sure. So
That was pretty horrific, by the way.
Yeah, that was a bad one. I just finished another trial. I think I've done 3 this year, but I finished one on Monday. The jury came back with, this was State of West Virginia versus Mitchell Fernandez. This was a shooting that occurred in the early morning hours of Valentine's Day last year. It was in the city of Martinsburg, and Mr. Fernandez, the jury has found that he shot this young man in the middle of the street. As best I could tell, he pulled the trigger 10 times on a .45 caliber handgun, but the way the bullets went, the guy actually had 11 bullet wounds, and he got shot 11 times with a .45 caliber and survived. He actually stumbled 2 blocks. He was just trying to get to the police station, and the New City Police Station, it is lit up. It is a beacon there, and that's just what he was going for. And he made it right out in front of the police station where he collapsed. And Corporal Kondo was working patrol that night and responded and really saved his life in the street. Police arrest people, they investigate things, but Kondo was a wartime medic out there and really saved that young man's life. So that trial started the previous week. It started last Wednesday, so it was a 4-day trial. Mm-hmm. And he was convicted of attempted first-degree murder, 9 counts of malicious wounding, use of a firearm in the commission of a felony, and being a person prohibited from possessing a firearm. So he was a prior felon, wasn't supposed to have a gun anyway.
Was there a particular motive for the shooting?
And the motive is terrifying. Yes. So these two, Mr. Fernandez, the defendant, and the victim were at a mutual friend's house, just hanging out, drinking, and the victim got up to go to the bathroom, and when he came back, the defendant had taken his seat. And the victim, he's a very meek guy, he's very chill. He didn't say anything, he didn't care that someone had taken his seat, but he walked up to where the group of people he had been speaking with, he walked back to the same group when he got back from the bathroom, and he stood behind the seat. And when Mr. Fernandez realized someone was standing behind him, that offended him, and he jumped up and punched the victim. The victim didn't fight back. He just grabbed his stuff. He said, I'm out of here. I just want to get out of here. And he was just trying to walk home. And the defendant followed him and kept chirping at him. And we were able to pull surveillance camera from various businesses, city buildings, and personal residences within Martinsburg, and able to watch their progress as Fernandez followed him down the streets of Martinsburg. And then the shooting itself was captured on camera. And then, it's one of those new age problems, I guess, for committing crime, is that there's a security camera that was at Bob's Carryout in Martinsburg that faced the defendant's apartment door, his front door to his apartment. And so we have all these cameras, and we see the shooting happen, which was at the intersection of Race Street and Church Street. And then we see the shooter run down Church Street. We pick him up on a couple other cameras running down Church Street. He then turns onto Martin Street, and I've got him walking right into his apartment right after the shooting. So that was
all from external cameras.
All from external cameras. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, that case was investigated by Sergeant Jared Luciano with the Martinsburg City Police. And at that time, City PD was incredibly understaffed in February of 2024. I think they only had about 30 guys in the department. And so the detective bureau at that time was just lucky, just Jared Luciano. And he reached out to the Eastern Panhandle Drug and Violent Crimes Task Force, had a lot of people to come help him out, but he hit that case so hard, he didn't know if the victim was going to make it. I mean, you got shot that many times, this could really quickly turn into a murder. And he worked it really, really hard, and in 48 hours, he had put it together and made an arrest.
I've long believed that everybody acts in their own perceived best interest at any given time. So what was Mr. Fernandez's rationale for what he did? I mean,
as the victim described it to us, and as he testified, that this was a perceived slight, a perceived disrespect. And I think what also happened was it continued to escalate because the victim wouldn't engage. The victim, he didn't want to fight back. He didn't want to have an argument about it. He just said, I'm not here for this anymore. I want to go home. And you can see that even in the video, and they'll stop a couple times and they're still keeping a 10, 15-foot distance. They're not walking together. You know, one is following the other. And time again, the victim just turns and just puts his head down and is trying to disengage and go home. And I think that just increased the irritation of Fernandez to the point that he decided to try to kill him in the street over something so trivial.
See, these are the cases where I wonder. I had this discussion with another lawyer last week. We have the penalty for murder is life, potentially life without parole. Yeah. The penalty for attempted murder, shooting somebody 11 times, is so substantially less, but the intent was the same.
Yeah.
I have a hard time wrapping my head around why we make this distinction within the law.
Yeah, well, especially I always think about it this way. If you attempt to kill someone and you have that intent, like you said, same intent to kill him, same premeditation, same deliberation, and then it's just the way of the world right now. I mean, there's no reason a guy should get shot 11 times. 11 times with a .45 caliber and live.
Yeah.
Like that's not something you think is going to happen. But modern medicine, I mean, quick response. Corporal Kondo has, and all of the guys in City PD and Patrol, they have these, they're called chest seals, that when you have a chest wound and it's like, you know, a big sticker that goes on there, but it seals up the wound. I mean, they have these things that they're able, through modern medicine and the grace of God, able to save someone's life. So you go from life without mercy to, you know, because medicine and everything has come so far, 3 to 15 for attempted first-degree murder. That's the penalty.
And that means he's eligible for parole in 3 years, right?
If it was just that offense, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he would be eligible for parole in 3 years on an attempted first-degree murder. If it's an attempted murder that's of a lesser, you know, like an attempted second-degree murder, it's even less than 3 to 15. It's just, I believe, 1 to 3.
And he gets, I think you said 2 years in jail, 3 years in jail, and then 24 in prison. Did those run concurrent?
That was the other guy. That was Eggleton.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but no, those were all run consecutive to each other.
So one finishes, the other one starts.
Yeah,
so
which is where you get that total number of, even when he goes to prison. That's why, you know, there wasn't one singular offense that had 20. What was his bottom number? 24 years. That's just adding them up together,
Gotcha.
And that's kind of how the Division of Corrections and Rehabilitation, that's how they do it.
And Fernandez got what?
Well, he just got convicted, so he's set for sentencing. August 15th is when that is scheduled.
What are the general guidelines of a term for that sort of crime?
Sure. The maximum sentence that he would face, and he was convicted of everything in the indictment, and his, what we call it is like his prison exposure, his worst case scenario. If he goes in and Judge Faircloth says, I'm going to throw the book at you, I'm going to give you the maximum, his would be 24 3/4 years to 120.
120. And what's I think Judge Faircloth has a pretty fair reputation, but a tough reputation. Does
She does.
not?
She does.
Right?
She does. She is a, you know, when it comes to sentencing, you can she's a tough sentencer.
Yes.
You know, if you've proven to the jury, to beyond a reasonable doubt, you know, if we've proven that you committed these offenses, she's a pretty strict sentencer.
So August 15th is a long time from now. What happens in between?
That's a great question. So anytime someone is convicted of a crime in circuit court, whether it's by a jury trial or whether they plead to something, the court orders what is called a pre-sentence investigation. And that's where the probation department, who works for the court, they go out and they do an investigation and compile a report that is given to the defendant and his attorney, it's given to the prosecutor, and it's given, most importantly, to the judge. And it breaks down everything about this individual. So it goes through their criminal history, their family history, their medical history, their educational history. For certain type of offenses, there are other sections of inquiry that they do, and they interview the defendant for this. If there's a victim involved, they interview the victim and get the victim's sentiments on sentencing. The investigating officer, they'll reach out and get their opinion on what they think sentencing should look like. And so the judge orders that in every case so that, well, one, it's required by law, but the benefit is that the judge, even before walking out onto the bench to make a sentencing determination, what is the appropriate sentence for this individual for these crimes, they get a full picture of the defendant, not just what they pled guilty to or what the jury convicted them of. We look at them as a total person. Because for sentencing, a judge is looking at past, present, future conduct. You know, was there any mitigating factors? You know, did this person have an absolutely terrible childhood? Does this person have a crippling drug addiction? Have they, you know, it really tries to paint a full picture of the defendant for the court so that they can make an appropriate decision on sentencing.
Joe, we have a minute left. Mm-hmm. What's the latest on the Joe DeSoto situation?
So that case is still being investigated by the state police. And I think I have a meeting next week with the primary investigating officer in that to review things, but it was not presented at the May grand jury. So hopefully, I'm hoping that investigation will wrap up soon and we can start to make some decisions.
And he continues to be in home confinement, correct?
Yes. And
no incidents?
No, sir.
All right. Joe, appreciate your time this morning as always, and I hope you're still enjoying the job.
I am. Very much so.
That's some stuff to deal with every day.
It's
man.
Busy. It's busy.
Mercy. Hey, thank you for coming in.
Thanks, sir.
Berkeley County Prosecuting Attorney Joe Kinser.